All right, welcome, welcome. We're about to get into something that's going to do something. This is going to be part two on the strength card. And I'd be remiss if I did kick it off like I always do about this time. Uh, I'm going to say first and foremost, thank you for your time. You're tuning in and tapping in. I appreciate it. I appreciate the sacrifice, whether you're sliding through for the whole shebang or whatever it is. But sincerely, I do appreciate it. Just like I'm making time to get down and do this research, this tarot correspondence. I appreciate anybody who takes the time to check it out, leave a comment, whatever. Not necessarily even leave a comment. I appreciate your time. Welcome to Occult Topics with the Professor. Like I said, this is going to be part two on the strength card. You see, I got this breakdown right here, just showing the different, just some of the symbols represented in the strength card. Again, this is Occult Topics with the Professor. Feel free to hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the bell. Actually, I have a couple interviews I recently did that I'll be uploading, so you might want to hit that bell to get notified when it drop. And from there, I'm gonna say Ashe and let's get it started. Now, we've essentially covered all the books that I normally research out of for each correspondence. However, I'm going to double back on Barbara G. Walker's. Let's get that up there. Barbara G. Walker's The Secret of the Tarot, Origins, History, and Symbolism. We're going to double back on this one. And then I want to look up some of those deities she mentioned, even though in place of key 8, Barbara Walker chose a traditional symbol of justice, right? She didn't choose strength. In the Rider-Waite pack, justice holds the place of number 11. Now, we did find a good reason as to why these two were swapped, but I just wanted to go through and look up some of these deities that Barbara Walker had mentioned. And then I'm going to, what's up, bud?
My phone went dead, so I had to charge it.
Okay, okay.
I could have just charged it at once, so I wouldn't have to worry about it charging. Or
if you're gonna come in, you want to welcome, just close the door for me, bud. You can chill, hang out. What time you going to bed tonight?
9.
9. Okay. You're welcome to have a seat. You're welcome to have a seat. I hate to hear that your phone died. You want to look at mine?
I'm gonna watch your. I'm gonna watch you get on YouTube.
Okay, it's all good. You want to welcome. Yeah. So
I have a little bit of time.
okay, okay. You got an hour to spend with me, or however long you want to hang out. It's all good. So, like I was saying, I'm gonna start it off. We're gonna revisit this Barbara G. Walker just to look up some of the deities that she referenced, and I also want to go over the Paul Foster case, tarot, the wisdom, the tarot wisdom of the key to the wisdom of the ages. I want to go back over what I read here, and then from there we'll move on to Manly P. Hall and his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And then we'll move on to Kabbalistic Tarot, Robert Wang, and Dolores Ashcroft Malwicki and her Shining Paths, just to kind of tie it in with the Kabbalistic aspect from Robert Wang. Actually, I also have. Let's keep it. Let's do what we do. So I'm gonna get a highlighter. I realized something too. I haven't really been highlighting because some part of me is saying this is not gonna be your only read, and so I'm pretty sure that by the time I double back on these books, that's when I'll be highlighting like crazy. So I'll still get a pen and a highlighter just in case something stands out to me. But we can get down. Let me see. Fine here. Here we go. So again, Barbara G. Walker. This is The Secrets of the Tarot, Origins, History, and Symbolism. And she chose the more traditional route. She chose justice in place of strength for key number 8. So she says, After the transitory glory of the chariot ride, the major arcana presented a rather grim figure, the goddess Justice, balancing pleasures against pains in her scale, apparently demanding payment of a karmic debt. Oriental sages said life's pleasures usually come before its pains, but the greater glory, the greater the glory, the deeper must be the corresponding atonement. From this notion of karmic balance arose the Gnostic precept traditionally associated with Lucifer. The pride must precede a fall. Though men might feel themselves to be gods, yet the goddess of fate, under her varying names, exacted just compensation for her gifts. It was precisely those who rode highest in the world chariot who must eventually endure the most painful sacrifice. For every action, an equal and opposite reaction. Such was the karmic law. The Gnostic view of justice, with her balances, was essentially the same as the Oriental view of the fate goddess who worked out karmic laws. She appeared in classic Greek philosophies under various names such as Dike, which means justice, Dike. I'm going to highlight these names, so we're going to look these up as soon as I finish reading them all. So it was Dike, who represented justice, Anarchy, Ananke, necessity, justice, necessity, Nemesis, which represents retribution, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. Hymarmony. Hymarmony. It reminds me of Hermione from Harry Potter, but it's not spelled the same. So, and Hymarmony, she represents the allotted fates. Now, before we move any further, let's look up these deities, these deities. I'm going to go with first Encyclopedia of Ancient Deities by Charles Russell Coulter and Patricia Turner. Now, I've seen other copies of this book. There's the Encyclopedia of Ancient Deities by these same two authors, and then there's the dictionary. They have different covers. I've always wondered if they actually have different information. So maybe that's something eventually that'll give me an excuse to buy that other book just to find out if there's any different information in it. Okay, here we go. We have Dike or Dice, D-I-C-E, Greek, goddess of justice, the daughter of Zeus and Themis. Dike is one of the three Horae. Her sisters are Irene and Eunomia. Dike is the personified goddess of justice. See also Dike B, Horae, and Themis. So there's an A and a B. So let me go to the B. That was just the A. So Dike or Dice B, also known as Astrea. She is the daughter of Zeus and Themis, who was also called Dike. So let's go look up Astrea, because she's going to mention Astrea anyway. If you tapped in for the previous one, she did mention Astrea, Astarte. All these kind of back up to Isis. Isis being the goddess who holds the scale. Well, in the traditional retelling of the Kemetic story, it is the scale is held up, I believe, by Anubis, who weighs the heart. No, it's held up by Tahuti. However, there are versions where it's Isis or Astarte who was holding the scale and balancing the heart against the feather. So I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to find out about Straya. And then the concept of checks and balances and scales is still inherent. Astrea, Greek, also known as Dike, Virgo, goddess of justice. Astrea is the daughter of Zeus and Themis, who was also the personification of justice. Astrea's sisters are the Horae and the Morai. Astrea, fed up with the mortals, left the earth during the Bronze and Iron Ages. She is now seen as Virgo in the heavens. That's the star aspect, because Astrea, you can see the star in her name, right? Astros, Astro. You can see her name is in the stars. All right, who's the next one? Ananke, Ananke. What's crazy is I just left a birthday party turn up was in full effect. And I actually felt like that scene from the first Men in Black. Remember where at the very beginning, when the spaceship landed and the husband got killed by the alien and the alien put on his skin, I felt like I had on my human suit because I literally I wasn't all that hyped about the turn up. Ooh, somebody sleepy, somebody yawning. Ananke, another name for the goddess of law and justice, Themis. So you know what? Themis has been mentioned at least 3 times so far. So let's flip over to Themis. But we see that these are all different variations of the same concept or energetic principle of justice, balance, law. So let's look up Themis. Themis. There's a Themisto. Oh, I really want. Let's see. Here we go. Themis. Oh, Themiste, that's the same. Also known as Anake, a goddess of law and justice. The Titan Themis is the daughter of Uranus and Gaia, and the sister of the Titans and the giants. When the Oceanid Metis, the first wife of Zeus, Hesiodic tradition, was swallowed by Zeus, Themis married the great god. She became the mother of the Moray Fates and Horay, the seasons. Oh, so I kept noticing that was the sisters of Dyke, the Moray and the Horay, Fates and seasons. So that is, and those two aspects are connected to justice and law and balance. And I'm assuming that's because we have the 4 seasons and they come around like clockwork. And then fates, fate has a totally different meaning today than it did in previous times. Estrella, justice, and possibly Prometheus. Forethought and Clymene, Clymene, the original goddess of prophecy, as she originated the Delphic oracle and presented it to Zeus as a birthday present. A brilliant deity, advisor, and inventor, the personified she personified justice and order. Themis, ocean, Tethys, Hyperion, Mnemosyne, Lepettus, because of his sons Atlas and Prometheus, were deities from the group known as the Elder Gods. These titans were not ousted when Zeus topped Kronos and the Olympians came into power. They were only reduced to a lower rung on the heavenly ladder. In the Pelagian creation myth, Themis and Eurymedon are the deities who ruled the planet Jupiter. Themis is depicted carrying a cornucopia and scales. Compare Themis to Anake. See also Atlas, Cronus, Dyke, Eurynomy, Evander, Fates, Gaia, Giants, Hesperides, Horay, Hyperion, Metis, Mnemosyne, Moray, Ocean, Prometheus, Tethys, Titans, Uranus, Zeus. So that would suggest that law, justice, those things actually exist on a higher plane, even though when in Greek mythology, when Zeus gained prominence above the Titans, those deities didn't disappear. They merely gained a lower ranking. But originally, if you follow that correspondence back to its origins, from the little bit I've read so far, it shows that these were principles that were held in a very high, they were considered primordial principles or archetypes. So, now let's look up, hey, Marmony. I'm going to just start calling her Hermione. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. HEI. I would think that by justice, law, order, things of that nature, being on a higher scale, being a titan or a primordial archetype, I would think that that would suggest the inevitability of it all, of you not being able to circumvent or get around it. And I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Let's see. HEIMAR. Well, not in this book. So let's go to G.A. Gaskell's Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths. Let's see if G.A. Gaskell was about that action like Jackson. Go straight to the H's. That's a good sign. H-E. Heimdall. They all stop at Heimdall. Let's go to Judica Illis. Now, if the Illis don't got it, then I'm going to move on. I would Google it, but no. Bodhisattva. H-I. Okay, H-E-I-M. Harpies, Kate, Heimdall. I'm going to start at Heimdall again. Maybe I should Google it, huh? I wonder what the books I have on deities over here. It's most likely Greek. So let's look up into Greek myths. Greek myths 1 and 2. I really want to be happy. All right, let's see if they got anything in Greek myth. I've never heard their name before. Like I said, I kept pronouncing it Hermione. H-I. Agamemnon. Is this one? This is 2.
I'm gonna
From the dipset.
yeah, I'm gonna get out of the room a little earlier.
It's all good, buddy. I'll just make sure you close the door behind you.
Okay.
Yeah, you can close that door behind you, bud. Is it too dark in here? Turn some lights on for you, man. You ain't got to sit in the dark.
Okay.
What the what? This is book 1. Her Mormon name might be old hidden goddess, huh? Let me go through the to the back side. Give it to me now. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Another non-mention. I guess I'm gonna Google it. Let's Google it real quick. Let's go Google. How do you spell the name? Make sure to spell it right. Yeah, I am spelling it right. H-E-I-M-A-R. There we go. Popped up. Harmony is a goddess and being of fate/destiny in Greek mythology, in particular, the orderly succession of cause and effect, or rather the fate of the universe as a whole, as opposed to the destinies of individual people. Now that kind of makes sense. I bet you this is somehow related to Hermione from Harry Potter. The names are too similar. Okay, and then the next one being Nemesis. We'll dip through G.A. Gaskell. See what he has to say about Nemesis. I really want to be happy. He ain't working like that. Okay, I can dig it. I can dig it. Let me go back to Patricia Coulter, Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell Coulter, and Patricia Turner. Oh, you really want. Why that song? Probably was playing at the party. Nemesis. Ah, here we go. Nemesis. Also known as Adrastea, goddess of retributive justice, a nymph goddess. Nemesis, the daughter of Erebus and Nox, who relentlessly meted out just punishment to evildoers, lawbreakers, the proud and haughty, is known as daughter of the night. She was also known in worship as the beautiful daughter of Oceanus because, as the nymph goddess with the apple bow, she was also the sea-born Aphrodite. The sea-born Aphrodite, Stella Maris, sister of the Erinyes. It is possible that her Greek origin transpired when the Persians, conquered after invading Greece, left behind a block of marble from which the Greeks carved a statue of Nemesis. It is said that in attempting to avoid Zeus, she changed herself into a goose, but failed to escape when Zeus became a swan. Her egg, hatched by Leda, became Helen of Troy, the cause of the Trojan War. She has been shown as a regal woman seated in a chariot drawn by griffins. Nice chariot reference, even though we're on Strenght, we can see why it would have been a natural progression to place justice after the chariot, right? And her chariot was drawn by griffins. The griffin is essentially a lion, was the symbol of retributive justice. The ash tree was one of Nemesis' seasonal disguises. She is also depicted with an apple bow in one hand and a wheel in the other, wearing a silver crown, embellished with stags. See also Adrastea, Aether, Erebus, Eumedes, Helen, Charis, Melanate, Nox. Okay, okay. Just to get a better idea on the different correspondences for justice and the justice card, which this also applies to Isis. I'm pretty sure she mentioned it. Let's get back to the book. These were not abstract principles, but a firmly personified goddess figure in each case, worshipped as a mother of both generation and destruction. Can rock with that. That generation and destruction lets you know that this is actually a function, Kabbalistically speaking. This is justice is a function of Chokmah and Binah, the Kabbalistic tree of life. Where were we? That ubiquitous birth and death goddess whose character has been so thoroughly eradicated from Western imagery. Stoic philosophers regarded her as the ruler of the entire universe, a creator and destroyer of the very gods themselves. Orphics accepted this opinion of her and also declared that her spouse was Chronos, time. So that is placing her up in the supernal triads, the upper aspects of the tree, the macroprosopos, right? In whose realm the principles of justice inevitably be acted sooner or later. The whole creation was subjected to the manipulations of the goddess from whom nothing could be concealed. The inexorable lady of fate or justice was older than Stoic philosophy. She appeared early in cultures of Egypt, Babylon, and Phoenicia. To the Egyptians, she was Ma'at, the mother, whose name was synonymous with truth or justice. So let's look up Ma'at. Ma'ati. Where is my book on Egyptian? Where's George Hart? Where is George Hart? I'm looking for my book of Egyptian gods and goddesses. And this was something I actually meant to do. I was supposed to categorize my library, but I didn't get around to it. And so let's just go with Judith Illis. I do have Egyptian mythology right here. Where the heck is George Hart? Yeah, Georgie Porgy. Come on there, Georgie Porgy. Stick with the books we got out already. Oh, you know what? We need fire up incense. Let's do this properly. Fire up insensitus maximus. Get some. This is some third eye. Let's go with some third eye. I don't know, no liner in here. No matches either. Is the light. Oh, here goes some matches. Bingo, bingo. I just fired some incense, and we're gonna look up Ma'at, then keep moving. I don't want to drag this out too far, following every rabbit down the hole. But I'm hoping to personally, I just wanted to nail these concepts home for myself, and hopefully, if anybody is listening and making connections on their own, the because without these archetypes as correspondences, we will actually it's kind of hard to actually work with these concepts, especially in terms of dreams, or if you're doing a reading for yourself or somebody else, right? So you actually want to have these archetypes nailed down in all their variations, right? Because it's actually in the variations. The variations is what gives us like rungs on the ladder, something to hold on to, and so you're better able to classify and work with the concept, symbol, or whatever. I should turn this sideways. Feel me? If that makes any sense, you know. But that's definitely how I've worked with done my work in terms of cataloging and categorizing different deities. Sometimes you might read about one aspect or one correspondence, and it's not nailed in for you. But then the more you read the different correspondence, then you kind of get a you know. Whereas if you go straight to like Isis as the archetype, you wouldn't see it. But to mention these other goddesses of fate and retributive justice, and then to go to a goddess like Ma'at, then it kind of like, we get back to the scales of justice and balance. So let's see if G.A. Gaskell in his Dictionary of All Myths and his Dictionary of All Scriptures and Myths, let's see if he has Ma'at in there. He does. Ma'at, a symbol of invariable law and justice applied to the activities of the lower planes. The law of karma. Ma'at was the wife of Thoth and daughter of Ra. She assisted at the work of creation. She is the goddess of absolute regularity and order, of moral rectitude, and of right and truth. Her emblem is a feather. The gods live by Ma'at, i.e., never failing and unalterable regularity and order. This is out of Budge's Book of the Dead, pages 4 and 8. The ideals, gods, have their raison d'etre in the law of karma, for by it they are related to the lower planes, and as higher qualities, they function in the growth of the lower planes. So these karmic lessons are not punishments. They're designed for the growth of the lower planes. And the growth of the lower planes definitely involve and concern us. So I guess that's why Ma'at or karma is considered something of the lower planes. And again, Kabbalistically speaking, karma would not apply to anything above the abyss, right? Karma would apply on lower planes, which would be from Chesed and Geburah down to Malkuth. More dense below your side, the moon, which is Malkuth, the earth. As you went up higher, I'm pretty sure the karmic laws would either, I won't say change, but be less applicable, right? And then let's see, we talking about the goddess Ma'at. You also mentioned Chronos. But Chronos as time, that's an aspect of Bina or Saturn, right? So it says the inexorable lady of fate or justice was older than Stoic philosophy. She appeared early in the cultures of Egypt, Babylon, and Phoenicia. To the Egyptians, she was Ma'at, the mother whose name was synonymous with truth and justice. In her balances a man's heart, soul, Ab was weighed against her symbol, the feather of truth. A man who was weighed in the balances and found wanting, as the Bible translated the Egyptian phrase, Daniel 5:27. Should I follow that rabbit down the hole? Now we're gonna keep it moving. Would be consumed in the underworld by the goddess's destroyer aspect, a monster called Ammit, the devourer of hearts. And how I understand Ammit, the heart was very important to the Egyptians. So if your heart was heavier than a feather, the act of Ammit devouring your heart essentially is like saying, go back and try again, start over, reincarnation. West of Egypt, the Phoenicians/Carthaginian worshippers of Astarte established societies having the same concept of the goddess's retributive duality. So let's look up Astarte. And Astarte, she goes right on to compare Astarte to Astrea. Remember, I was saying Astrea had star in it, or Astra, and that's all in relation to that. So let's look up Astarte. Oh, I got some good Kabbalistic images. I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna give these to somebody. Got any more Kabbalistic images in here? All I really want is to be here. No, no more. So let's look up Astarte and Astrea, and then let's keep it Misa Izubin and Grisa Izubin. Cup of water. LMOPQ. Artemis, Asclepius, Ashha, Ashira. Oh, here we go. Asteria, which is in a correspondence for Astrea. Asteria, Asteria, whereas Astria's name is Astraea, or Astrea. So it's all the same guy, just a different spelling. Zeus got Leto pregnant. Hera, his enraged wife, cursed Leto so that she didn't give birth anywhere the sun had ever shone. Leto's pregnancy stretched on interminably. Zeus's wandering eye moved from Leto to her sister, Asteria, who attempted to evade Zeus by transforming into a quail and fly away. His interest piqued by what he considered a game of hide and seek. Zeus transformed into a predatory eagle, pursuing the little quail. Asteria transformed into a stone and dropped into the sea, where she quickly transformed again, this time into Delos, the small rocky island where Leto was finally able to give birth. The sun hadn't yet shone on Delos. Asteria is the goddess of magic powers of the night. She has dominion over various magical arts, including astronomy, divination, dreaming, necromancy. She is an oracle spirit and may be requested to send prophetic dreams. Like mother, like daughter, Asteria may be Hecate's mother. So a strong connection to the moon. Astrea, also known as Asteria, the goddess of righteous justice. She lives on earth during Greece's golden age, the age of Chronos. Chronos, Saturn, time, Bina, these are all related. But was so dismayed by the evil and lawlessness she witnessed during the Bronze Age that she departed to heaven. You can find her in the sky as the constellation Virgo. So justice is associated very strongly with the constellation of Virgo, right? Virgo being Isis and any other archetypal divine feminine concepts, right? Okay, it says, as Estrella, the starry one she was, the virgin queen of heaven, associated with the constellation Aragon, Virgo. We just discussed that. Accompanied by the black bitch, Mayera, her furry-like dog of the law. Let's look up Mayera. Mayera actually sounds like an aspect of just a dog, companion. I would say the moon, possibly Anubis, feminine archetype to Anubis. Maera. Man, this one smells good. It's that third eye. Meara. Mea, right? Or it's Maera. Mae. M- 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 Not here. Let's look inside my Greek myths, which it should be. Don't let me down, Robert Graves. There we go. Here's numerous mentions. 245, 246. Let's see what's going on there. 245 and 246. Greek Myths, Volume 1. Oh, it was being mentioned under Aragon, which is Virgo. Although Oceanus was the first mortal to be given a vine plant by Dionysus, Icarus anticipated him in the making of wine. He offered a sample from his trial jarful to a party of shepherds in the Marathonia woods beneath Mount Pentacleus, who fell to mix it with water as Oenopion, Oenopion had it later advised, grew so drunk that they saw everything double, believed themselves to be bewitched, and killed Icarus. This is now in this instance, Mayera is Icarus's hound. His hound Mayera watched while they buried him under a pine tree, and afterward led his daughter Aragon to the grave by catching at her robe, and then dug up the corpse. In despair, Aragon hanged herself from the pine. Now, this is pineal and pituitary gland action, praying that the daughters of Athens should suffer the same fate as hers, while Icarus remained unavenged. Only the gods, heard her, and the shepherds fled overseas. But many Athenian maidens were found hanging from the pine, one after another, until the Delphic oracle explained that it was Aragon who demanded their lives. And here's a little side note he has on Mayera. Mayera was a name given to Priam's wife, Kabe or Hecuba. Okay, that's the moon aspect. After her transformation to a dog, because of Hecuba, and Kabe is just Hecate. And since Hecuba was really the three-headed death goddess Hecate, the libations poured to Aragon and Icarus were probably meant for her. The valley in which this ceremony took place is now called Dionysus. Aragon's pine will have been the tree under which Attis and Phrygian were castrated and bled to death. That's in relation to Sybil. And the explanation of the myth seems to be that when the lesser dog star was in the ascendant, The shepherds of Marathon sacrificed one of their number as an annual victim to the goddess called Aragon. I could dig it. All right, let's keep it moving. In Homeric myth, Mera was the spirit of retribution embodied in the Trojan queen Hecuba or Hekabe, who was Hecate's moon goddess made flesh. After Hecuba's death, her soul appeared as Mera and terrified her Greek murderers, who greatly feared their victims' cursed vengeance. Romans knew the Carthaginians, queen of heaven, as the mother of Libya or Liberia, presiding deity of the Liberalia festival. Her consort was Bacchus, titled Father Liber. So here we have Libya, Liberia, Libra. Her name was sometimes rendered as Libra. She became the astrological lady of scales, holding her balance and sword as she was shown by the tarot. The astrological version of Libra was always associated with Venus, another Latin title of the same goddess. An ancient stele from the site of Carthage showed the goddess in conjunction with their figure 8 symbol of perfect equilibrium. Well, we know that figure 8 symbol is right there over the head of Strenght. So strength and justice are almost interchangeable. They're intertwined, which is why they've been swapped out like they have been. And that's what she's going to go into talking about, which became the infinity symbol as well as the numeral given to Justice's tarot card. So she's saying that that infinity symbol is more aligned with justice as opposed to strength. But I'm pretty sure that was her choice. But I would say it's not so much that it's more aligned, it's more that the two are interchangeable. They're very compatible. Strength and justice. Perhaps the appearance of the same symbol in the Trump number 11, strength, contributed to the confusion between the two cards, which led, yeah.
Mom already said no, but if I asked you to a party, would you say yes?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no.
Like if I asked you before I asked, would you have said
Uh,
no?
you want to go to a party? Is that what you're saying?
Mom said no.
She already said no.
Yeah.
Then my hands are tied.
I know, but like if I would hypothetically ask
your better chance in the future, you get me and mom together, and then I'm gonna be me and she's gonna be her, and then hopefully we can come to some kind of agreement. But if you ask one parent first, they're setting the other parent up. I'm not falling for that. Feel me?
Mm-hmm.
When and where is this party?
It's in Oakland. She said they're
Oh no. I was saying no to that myself. Okay. Who was that? Christian? Girl, go to bed.
We're bored.
Okay, I can dig it. But yeah, any other circumstances? Going to a party in Oakland, that's a big no. You're only 13. But in the future, we have a decision like this to make. You ask to speak to me and your mom at the same time, because then you're going to get a more balanced response. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reading about justice and balance right now. So thank you for butting in. Where were we? Okay. Perhaps the appearance of the same symbol on Trump number 11, strength, contributed to the confusion between the two cards, which led to the Golden Dawn Society to transpose them in certain tarot packs. From a Gnostic viewpoint, justice made more sense in her original number 8 position, between the brash hero of the chariot, number 7, and the lonely hermit, number 9. Starting his solitary pilgrimage in sequence, the 3 cards strongly suggested the typical Oriental idea that after the period of Bhavanan, husbandship, and worldly success, karmic law demanded that a man should renounce his material possessions before any fatal retribution could fall on his family. He should go alone into the wilderness to fast and meditate. Thus, he might pass into a more spiritual stage of life and acquire the enlightenment of deeper maturity, which seemed to be the basis of the Hermit's card. On some levels, I can see this, but others, I would say no. We know for a fact that all these other billionaires, Jeff Bezos and the Bush family and whoever else you want to name, they're not going, once they feel like they hit it big, they're not giving away their worldly possessions, right? So I don't think it's meant to be on such a literal sense in terms of justice. I think that that implies removing the ego. That's what I would say. It implies removing the ego. That's the only baggage that you cannot carry with you across the abyss. So that's what I would say. Worldly possessions are just things. They can prove to be anchors, you know. Erica Badu had the bag, lady. You gonna hurt your back. Carrying on bags like that. That's an example of Libra balance, uh, justice, but it's applied to self. The karmic debt in the case of the bag lady is paid as soon as she sets down her bags. Check. Had to get my Bobby Hemmett on. So I don't want to say that there's anything spooky, scary, or retributive, or that you can't, because that's like the whole you can't get rich because then you got to give it all away, go to the forest, meditate. No, no. The card of justice was also known as the judge, Ma'at, or Mary Magdalene. The appearance of Mary Magdalene in Tarot tradition. You know what? Since I'm beating around the bush as it is, let's get this metaphysical Bible dictionary and look up Mary Magdalene. And I ain't beating around the bush. To be truthful, I better quit playing because my wife's still at the turn up. And when she come back, you can believe that this YouTube is going to be winding down very shortly because she going to have a mouthful to talk about. Mary, now this is from the Charles Fillmore's Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. And he says, Mary Magdalene, out of whom Jesus cast 7 demons, and who became one of his most devoted followers. But a metaphysical meaning is the feminine, the soul, the affectional, the emotional phase of a man's being. I like that. Mary Magdalene resides within both the genders of masculine and feminine. She signifies the divine motherhood of love. She can also be said to be intuition. Trying to get some of this particular just to Mary Magdalene. Through Jesus, 7 demons were cast out of Mary Magdalene. This means that the I in man, the directive will or higher self, raised to divine understanding and power, releases the soul from the emotional errors that have their existence in the unregenerated feelings and establishes peace and poise in the consciousness. This is talking about the karmic debt. Jesus banished 7 demons from Mary Magdalene. We know 7 is one of those critical numbers, 3 plus 4. So this banishing of the demons was essentially releasing her of her karmic debt. I'm not even going to dig too deeper than Mary Magdalene. That was enough for me just to read that right there. Get up out of there. Put my book back. Oh, you hold it back? I'll fix it back in there later. Okay. Okay. It says the court of justice is also known as the judge, Ma'at, or Mary Magdalene. The appearance of Mary Magdalene in Tarot tradition may have been a result of the Gnostic opinion that she, not St. Peter, was the true Pope, the Popess card, who received spiritual power directly from Jesus and transmitted it to her Gnostic disciples. The dialogue of the Savior called her the woman who knew all and said her wisdom, vision, and insight surpassed all the male apostles. The Gospel of Mary equated her with the Virgin Queen of Heaven as a Trinitarian goddess figure, saying all three Marys of the Gospel, Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and I believe it's Mary Bethany, the Trinity of Marys of the Gospels were one and the same. In Jesus' words, she was Maryam, the happy heiress of the kingdom of light. Other Gnostic writings called her the primal feminine power, the first and last, the whore and the holy one, the wife and virgin. So these are all dualities. This is all showing the balance, positive and negative, you know. So that the justice card was somehow interchangeable with strength. I'm curious to see what Robert Wayne is going to elucidate on this topic. Medieval Christians honoring her as a saint made her yet another transformation of the pagan great mother by claiming that she governed all wisdom, love, birth, and death. She ruled the earth's production of food and could restore life to the dead. Therefore, the scale she held meant the same as the similar scales in the hand of many earlier goddess figures. She controlled the balances of fate and meted out justice. Call my doors. I need some water. Is you. Packing all those bags like that.
Hello?
Hello, daughter. Can you bring me a cold water, please? Can you bring me 2 bottled waters?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let me go keep on there. So it says, according to the more recent representations of justice in the Western iconography, she wore a blindfold. The origin of this is obscure. It may have been an ecclesiastical addition implying that the goddess of judgments were blindly arbitrary or unenlightened. However, the Tarot agreed with the earlier images. Her cards showed justice with the straight, piercing, all-seeing eye that used to be attributed to Ma'at. So the justice being blind is a more modern Western thing. Justice is very much not blind. You get your just desserts, you know. That's what that would imply. That a female should be the natural judge, because again, in Kabbalah, the feminine pillar is the pillar of severity, and justice can be deemed as severe if you feel as though you didn't deserve that punishment. That a female should be the natural judge of men's activities was a profound ancient idea dating back to the matriarchal. Thank you very much. All right. Smells like incense. Got incense burning. Get your snack and dip.
Oh wait, if I bite a burger, it is more than a bite.
Wow, it was 2 bites?
No, it's 4.
Get out of here. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. All right. That a female should be the natural judge of men's activities was a profound ancient idea dating back to the matriarchal Neolithic, or perhaps even earlier, to a time when women chose their mates like other female animals by critically assessing men's performance in tasks or contests. The older mythologies show the original tablets of law given on mountaintops by the goddess, not by the god as depicted in the Bible. Sumerian said Mother Tiamat, the creatress, gave the tablets of law to her firstborn son, Kingu, the first lord of the world, whose sacrificial blood nourished future generations. The Aegean great mother Demeter, under her older name of Rhea Dicna, Dictyna, Dictyna, Rhea, the lawgiver, dictated her edicts to Minoan kings from Mount Dicte, her holy mountain of the word. She long remained the supreme arbiter of law under the title of Nemesis or due enactment. Okay, we get that Nemesis action. Tribal matriarchs were, let me highlight that because Nemesis seems to be kind of elusive. She's retributive justice, right? But she's related to Rhea, the lawgiver. And by correspondence and tracing it backwards, all the way back to Tiamat. So I'm just going to highlight that whole little passage. And then I'm going to get my pen and I'm going to specifically underline Nemesis. Nemesis. Tribal matriarchs were the judges in pre-patriarchal Israel, Judges 4:4. That I did not know. So let me get my Biblios Helios, Judges 4:4. I remember reading it yesterday, and that kind of caught my attention, but I figured I'll go get it. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges. Good night, bud. Did you clean your ear?
I'm gonna clean it now.
10-4. Judges 4:4. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time. So short, so sweet, but something that you rarely hear mentioned. And also in pre-Christian Europe until the church usurped their authority and began to call them witches. Yet they retained their judicial function for a long time. The Magna Carta of Chester mentioned Eudices de witch, justices or judges who were also witches. That is, they were the wise women, because witch, bitch, those mean wise women, right? Bitch is all tied into the same word. Descend check, that's a Bobby Hemmett drop. Descended from the tribal matriarch. Up to the Renaissance, the figure of justice was still synonymous with Estrella Aragon. The poet Philelfo called her that royal and great goddess by whom cities and empires are preserved in pride. Without her, no kingdom can long endureth. All right, let's get to Manly P. Hall, and then we're going to dive into Robert Wang. Let Robert Wang do this thing. I love opening up my Manly P. Hall book because I have inside here Ganesh. You know what? What a bullshit. Let's get some Ganesh going. I usually got some good background music. Let's get a little Ganesh going. Nobody told you, is you. Turn the TV off. Leviticus. All right, let's dip to actually what I've been watching. On a side note, what I've been watching is The Rings of Power. I'm a big J.R.R. Tolkien fan. I used to read his books as a kid. That man constructed worlds. I mean, tip my hat. So to watch this is kind of fascinating. It's causing me to dig through my memories and pull up some stuff. Let's go to Ganesh. I know I'm like a broken record, but let's go to Ganesh. Turn it down a little, Taste. Oh, gun in the air. Oh, That's why I like breaking down my Manly P. Hall, because here we have Ganesh, son of Pavarti and Shiva, a destroyer, a destructive force. He's going to break down just so you can build up and maintain and then repeat that cycle. So let's go back to the key number 8 and see what Manly P got to drop about it. And so what Manly P. Hall says is the 8th numbered major trump is called La Justice, and portrays a seated figure upon a throne, the back of which rises in the form of 2 columns. Justice is crowned and carries in her right hand a sword, and in her left hand a pair of scales. The card is a reminder of the judgment of the soul in the Hall of Osiris. It teaches that only balanced forces can endure, and that eternal justice destroys with the sword that which is unbalanced. So karma can be taken as just being out of balance. And so out of balance, then what you get is going to be out of balance shit. Sometimes justice is depicted with the braid of her hair twisted around her neck in a manner resembling the hangman's knot. This may subtly imply that man is the cause of his own undoings, his actions, symbolized by his hair, being the instrument of his annihilation. When all you got to do is cut your hair, pimping. In the pseudo-Egyptian tarot, the figure of justice is raised upon a dais of 3 steps, for justice can be fully administered only by such as have been elevated to the 3rd degree. Justice is blindfolded, that the visible shall in no way influence his decision for reasons he considers beyond his reader's intelligence. Mr. Waite reversed the 8th and 11th major trump, which is something we covered in part 1. If you didn't catch it, double back and you'll understand. Those who know. Let's see what Robert Wayne talking about with this Kabbalistic breakdown. No. All right, this is the path of Teth, strength, the 8th key, path color, yellow greenish, related sound, E natural, sign, Leo, fixed fire, meaning snake. I hate snake, I like serpent better, but snake, simple letter, taste, esoteric title, the daughter of the flaming sword. Sounds saucy. 32 paths of wisdom. The 19th path is the intelligence of all activities and spiritual beings, and is so called because of the affluence diffused by it from the most high blessings and most exalted sublime glory. Yay, Namaha. All right, let's do it. Let me get this cap up. If I don't do it now, it'll just be there, dog. Okay. In our upward progress on the tree of life, the path of strength leads to the edge of the abyss. It walks that fine line. Maybe that's why it's called the daughter of the flaming sword. You shall not pass. That's barring interest back into the Garden of Eden, the original position that Malkuth held, where the abyss currently, where Da'ath currently resides. I'll show you a good picture out of his book. If it's not too much of a glare, okay, we got it good. Let's get this in there. So it would be this path going across here. That's the daughter of the flaming sword. That is the 19th path. And it is clearly like a gatekeeper from the abyss. I'm pretty sure that's the sword that in William G. Gray's book, Ladder of Lights, he said that to cross the abyss, you had to walk a tightrope that he likened to the edge of a sword. So I'm pretty sure that was an allusion to this eighth key, the strength card. It's going to require strength to cross the abyss, or to even attempt to cross the abyss. In our upwards progress on the tree of life, the path of strength leads to the edge of the abyss, as did the hermit. And as we come closer and closer to the source of the all, the ultimate simplicity, it is perhaps paradoxical that the symbolism becomes increasingly complex. In the lower cards, energies and experiences can be accurately described in words. But at this level on the tree and above, we learn primarily by meditation on the interrelationship of symbols in which great profundities are secretly embedded. Let me just read that again. But at this level on the tree and above, we learn primarily by meditation on the interrelationship of symbols in which great profundities are secretly embedded. Okay, so what he's saying there is that the higher up on the tree you go, the concepts actually become more complex. Even though you're heading towards the ultimate simplicity, it becomes more complex. So the only way you can gain a deeper understanding is through meditation and by using them in tandem and in groupings, you know. So at this point of the tree, definitely you will want to work with both Chesed and Geburah simultaneously or in tandem, or as back to back. So few, for example, might even suspect that this picture of a woman with a lion could have such vast meaning. In terms of evolution, the 19th path is the first path of microprocesses. Oh, it is, okay. In terms of evolution, in terms of working down the tree, that's the first path after the abyss. And the last one heading towards the abyss. But he's talking about coming down. This is the first path of the microprocesses. The microprocesses being the Sephira from that point, Geburah, Chesed, Tiferet. Let me go in order. Chesed, Geburah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, excluding Malkuth. And these 6 microprocesses are a reflection of the upper triad 3, the macroprocesses, which is Kether, Chokmah, Binah. Excuse me, I'm sorry for that. In terms of evolution, the 19th path is the first path of the microprocesses, the lesser countenance. It is the outpouring of energy from Chesed to Geburah in the process of manifestation. It is the primary path of the higher self, linking the great opposites below the abyss. It is the path on which fire becomes light. Oh, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. For manifestation is light, whereas the supernals are a darkness which is fire. Oh, that was something I always wondered outside of Tarot. I knew that fire and light were synonymous, but I never understood why fire kind of takes precedence above light. But now this really helped me kind of to start to grasp it a little better. So I'll read it again where he says, in terms of evolution, the 19th path of the first is the first path of the microprocesses, the lesser countenance. It is the outpouring of energy from Chesed to Geburah in the process of manifestation. It is the primary path of the higher self. Okay, good job, buddy. You get a good rest, and we're gonna get to it early in the morning. Okay.
Can I There's stuff on there's clothes all over my bed. I'm gonna clean it up now.
Oh, I got you. I help you out. Here I come. Help you clean it off. You got some stuff on your bed? Is it the clothes you had on today?
I think so.
Come back, bud. There's a bunch of stuff on your bed. Clothes.
Yeah, clothes.
All right. Let's see what's going on. I'm gonna pause this for a second. You know what? Let it ride out, man. Listen to Ganesh. Let me see where Ganesh is at on the scale of things. All right, I'll be right back. Come on, let's do it, bud. See what's going on with your bed.
I dropped that box. Drop what box?
Where I put my matches at? Oh, wow. Bet you the matches is here somewhere. My incense about to go out. Man, give me some matches. Or a lighter. All right, let's do it. A lighter this time. And I'm gonna put the cap on top of this incense holder, so I don't have to worry about making no messes. All right, I apologize for the delay. We'll get back to Robert Wayne. But my buddy was laying his game down. And we'll give him all the help that he needs. All right, let's get back into something that's going to do something. You know, the one thing I realized, if you don't have no kids, that's, I'm not going to say it's bad or good, you know, depending on your perspective. You know, some people, you might feel blessed not to have kids. Some people might think they couldn't live without them. But I will say to those who are on this path and you got kids, don't try to avoid feeling like they're in the way of your spirituality. You played a part in their reincarnation. You know, they chose you as parents. You have to realize that none of this is, they're not in your way. This might be in their way. They came here to do their work, whatever they got to do. So I usually get down late at night just to stay out of their way, right? I don't want to get frustrated, mad, and you know, don't you see daddy doing the YouTube? You know what I'm saying? So if I do it during times like this, because right now it's been like 9:20 on a week on a Saturday. If I am getting down to a time like this, I make sure that I am available and patient. Because again, I play the part, and you know what I'm saying, and I'm gonna continue to play that part. Alrighty, YG400. I think that I'm gonna definitely work with this. I was looking at this image I had inside my Magickian hall. There's a Kabbalistic tree inside my Magickian hall, but I'm actually working on a series of Kabbalistic meditations, and I got somebody who said they were going to try them out. So I kind of want to get some good images to drop on them tomorrow when we link up. So that's why I paused to look at that. My bad again. Let's get back to it, to the strength. Take this out. So I was rereading this one paragraph. So it said, in terms of evolution, the 19th path is the first path of microprosopos, the lesser countenance. It is the outpouring of energy from Chesed to Gebera in the process of manifestation. It is the primary path of the higher self, linking the great opposites below the abyss. It is the path on which fire becomes light. That's what made me pause and kind of like nail some things together for me. Thus, in his book of tokens, Kay speaks of the radiant darkness of the limitless light. Oh, now that was some elucidation right there, because we read Case yesterday, and I'm almost certain that got away from me. So I'm going to highlight these last two sentences. It is the path on which fire becomes light, for manifestation is light, which is fiery. Thus, in his book of tokens, oh no, I don't have the book of tokens. Now, see, I just said I wasn't buying no more books, but I'm gonna have to find Cases, Dr. Paul Foster Cases' book of tokens. I've heard that mentioned a couple times, so I'm gonna have to, real quick, won't be long. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Let's go to Amazonia. Paul Foster Case book. Oh, popped up. Book of tokens. Come on, $3. Ew. Biggity. $50. $50, which actually is not bad. Book of tokens, tarot meditations. So what I'm gonna do is, before I pull that trigger, I'm gonna go to ABE. I'm gonna go to ABE books. See what they have. Paul Foster Case books by. Let's see. See how much that book is here. And $50 is actually not bad for for a book. Oh, it's 31 with $2 shipping. So I would save 18 bucks. Just said I wouldn't buy no more books. That's not a bad price. Who else would have it? ABE. $33 ain't bad though. No, I'm gonna add it to my cart. I'll come back to this later. Oh, nothing's in my cart. Duh. I'll pull the trigger on this after I get off. I already know I am, so I'm not even gonna fret. $33 ain't bad for another book on tarot. So, to the path of strength are assigned both the Hebrew letter Teth and the most powerful sign of the zodiac, Leo. Leo is the lion, while Teth means snake. And the interchangeability of the lion and snake symbolism is a key to the meaning of the card. As the symbols interchange, we understand that the realities which they represent can also be interchanged. The one spirit takes any form it wills, which is an important lesson of this path. The idea is clearly expressed in the Zohar. The three principal elements of nature are fire, air, and water. Really, they are one in use and substance and are able to change one into the other. It is the same with thought and speech and logos. They are one and the same in themselves. The three principal elements of nature are fire, air, and water. I'm going to highlight that. I mean, I get that part, but for them to be interchangeable, actually, I do understand that. It will follow the principle of as above, so below. Okay. As the serpent holds its tail in its mouth, it represents wisdom and the universe. Noting here that taste is attributed to Teth and the Sefer Yeser, whereas the same serpent is described in Genesis as the tempter. Moreover, insofar as it is fiery, vital life force, it is also the redeemer. Because remember that I believe serpent and Christ have the same numerical vibration in gematria, right? Showing you that these two things, Christ is the Son, S-U-N of God. Christ would definitely apply to Leo the lion and the sun, right? Lion of Judah, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Moreover, insofar as it is the fiery vital life force, is also the Redeemer. The Redeemer aspect of what made me think of Christ and his relation to the Son, tribe of Judah, XYZ. This is the same apparently contradictory idea encountered with the primary card of matter, the devil, which is also both tempter and redeemer. And interestingly enough, the lion is occasionally related to Saturn. Now, that I didn't know. The supposed place of dwelling of the devil. How would Saturn be related to the lion? Or the devil? Well, I mean, how would the devil, how would the lion be equated with the devil? It says This is the same apparently contradictory idea encountered with the primary card of matter, the devil, which is also both tempter and, oh, that's the connection. The devil is both tempter and redeemer. Yeah, yeah. And interestingly enough, the lion is occasionally related to Saturn, the supposed dwelling place of the devil. Fortunately, the Kabbalah allows us to put these symbols into very clear perspective, as Bina, Saturn, is the ultimate source of the devil's imprisoning matter. Because the devil is only evil because he represents materiality, of being, for lack of a better word, trapped in that skin prison, right? Matter. Bina, the third Sephira, represents materiality, right? Limitation, time, death, birth, and rebirth, etc. So the devil is seen as ensnaring souls uh, in hell down here on earth, right? You know, something I always thought about was for the people who consider the Bible on such a very literal level, uh, the devil was so bad. Why would God banish him to earth to be around essentially the children, right? Children of God, children of men. The devil has lived eternally as an angel in heaven. So let's equate him to like a pedophile. If you had a pedophile in the family and you kicked him out, you would banish him to the kids' table at Thanksgiving or Christmas, would you? That's to let you know that the devil is not a literal thing. Excuse me for getting in my nose. That's horrible. The devil isn't like a literal aspect. The devil is more or less just like not even just like the devil, just a symbol that people have personified and can use as their scapegoat to put all their sins on and said the devil made me do it. It must be admitted that the lion has been used in so many different cultures and symbolic pantheons that it may be claimed to have mutually exclusive meanings. But generally, references to the lion have to do with its physical strength. This is not a card of intellect in any way. The greatest strength of which one can conceive is the light of the sun, the ruler of Leo. And as we shall consider, it is the lion which is permitted to open the sacred scroll of apocalypse. This means that the solar power represented by this card can open the higher levels of consciousness beyond the sun, because apocalypse only means a revealing, like revelations. Apocalypse only means to reveal. So it's the lion that opens the scrolls, huh? So this means that the solar power represented by this card can open the higher levels of consciousness beyond the sun, Tiferet. Beyond the sun, in relation to Tiferet, is Geberah, Chesed, uh, Binah, Hokmah, and Kether. I want to highlight this for my own edification. Symbolism, this is shown most graphically by the representation of the sun god Mithra, whose body is human, but his head is that of a lion. I'm just going to highlight like this whole little paragraph. So when I come back and read it again, most likely I'll just be underlining my pen, because I'll have narrowed down more of these concepts, right? The lion symbolism always implies a brute force which may be used constructively or destructively. So constructively is generation, destructively is destruction. Generation, operation, destroyer. This is so again we see the common theme because everybody's mentioned this combination, not operation, generation, or destruction. Um, this is the very path on which the sword of Geberah is formed, indicating that the possibility of the philosopher being overwhelmed by the power which he or she invokes is always present. Such danger is stressed, for example, in the story of Daniel in the lion's den, one closely related to the symbolism of this card. Daniel is, like Moses, a magician, the martyr, holding back the destructive power of the lions through sheer force of will. Now, Daniel held back lions. What did Moses hold back? The water. I hate to be highlighting everything, but I'm going to highlight this whole paragraph. You know what? Instead of highlighting it, I'm going to just put a mark here so it'll capture my attention in the future. And I'm going to underline this part. I'm going to underline the story of Daniel in the dying lion's den, one closely related to the symbolism of this card. Daniel is, like Moses, a magician, holding back the destructive power of the lions through sheer will of force, which is the same as Moses did when he parted the Red Sea, right? Daniel, the three Hebrews in the fiery furnace, Noah, and other such figures were chosen by the earliest Christians as biblical representatives of salvation. On the wall of the catacomb, a depiction of Daniel means, in essence, let him who is buried here be saved as Daniel was saved from the lions. Thus, a simplistic faith in divine protection came to overshadow a symbolism of far greater consequence, that of the enlightened individual controlling the animal potency underlying all existence. Now, that would explain for anybody who's versed in Egyptian mythology or the Egyptian pantheon. They always have an animal head on top of a human body, which is stating that the animal or bestial nature hasn't been elevated above that of man, because man is clearly over beast. We have the four kingdoms, right? Mineral, vegetable, animal, human kingdom. However, if you raise up the animal above the man, that's essentially God realm shit. And that explains why the symbol of Mithra is so powerful. I never looked at it like that, but I will from now on. Because Mithra has the head of a lion and the lower body of a human. Right? And then with Daniel, okay. In the symbolism of alchemy, the lion takes three simple forms. First, there's the green lion, which devours the sun, the energy of nature before it is purified. When I said about devour the sun, that's my own words. In the symbolism of alchemy, the lion takes three separate forms. First, there is the green lion, the energy of nature before it is purified and subjected to the will. Next is the red lion, represented on the strength card. This is the force of nature under perfect control, what the alchemists would describe as sulfur, solar energy, combined with Mercury, will. Weight underscores this meaning by showing the infinity sign of the magician above the woman's head. This is the directing willpower of the 12th path. And Mathers calls the philosophic Mercury. Finally, there is the old lion, meaning the completely purified consciousness, the linking of all components of the soul with the highest spiritual self, with the older than time itself. These are all references to Venus, Saturn. I'm pretty sure the lion reference to Saturn comes from the alchemy with the red lion, sulfur, fire. Saturn is a red fiery planet, right? Let me see. Again, I don't want to highlight this whole passage. Just believe my myself a little reminder. The lion figures in ancient legends and Christian legends, such as the story of Saint Jerome, where the saint removes a thorn from the lion's paw and the grateful animal becomes his servant. I've always heard that story. I've heard that story. I didn't know it was involved in Saint Jerome. I believe it's one of Aesop's fables. The consistent thread running through such tales has to do with the wise person who subjugates the wild animal through the force of his humanity. It is the highest quality of mankind controlling the highest quality of beasts, of which the lion is king. So if you can tame the king of the jungle, or the king of these bestial emotional states or imbalances, because remember the justice card fits just as well here. If you can tame the king, you can tame anything. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, right? Um, an idea sufficiently common in history that it may be considered an extension of Jung's wise old man archetype. In this regard, we appreciate that each and every one of the tarot trumps has come to represent a body of teaching, legend, or tradition deeply rooted in the group soul of mankind, expressed in different ways throughout history, pursuant to the relationship. Let me open this other water. Pursuant to the relationship of symbolic lion with the sun, there is some possibility of confusion. Good stuff. They've been blazing hot out here in Cali. I'm gonna put this fan back on me. Okay. Pursuant to the relationship of the symbolic line with the sun, there's some possibility of confusion. At one level, the lion is the cherub of fire. Cherub or cherub, right? Cherubim, cherub. So at one level, and it is a symbol of one of the four elements, but this is not the same as the lion of the sun's spiritual fire or kundalini, which is serpent. That's why the lion and serpent is always interchangeable, because the lion can represent the element of fire in the elements, but not the fire in terms of kundalini fire. That can only be represented by a serpent. And I started highlighting this before you read the other part of this. I knew it was going to be fire. 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 Yeah, yeah, yeah. The fiery lion serpent is one aspect of the life force, which is in manifestation, is a duality of activity and passivity. Ida and Pingala. Kundalini, the sacred fire, is the active phase of this energy, purposely unleashed and directed by the will. This is suggested by the double ends of the rod in the hands of the figure in the universe, a card related to strength in several ways. It will, for example, be noted that the scarf on the figure of the Golden Dawn card is similar to that worn by the figure in the universe. Both are veils, both are concealing of principles, though at different ends of manifestation. Strength is the beginning of the microprosopos, while the universe is the completion of the process. So strength is the beginning of these lower concepts that correspond to the higher, whereas the universe is just the completion. So it's the duality. And in the Kabbalion, it always says like and unlike are the same, only separated by degrees, right? It will, for example, be noted that, oh, I read that. The woman who has tamed the energy of the lion and the woman who dances in space, surrounded by the four cherubim, are both expressions of that which is at the highest level called the Empress. This is a very powerful path, one on which it is not possible for a sensitive person to meditate without profound effects on the psyche. The card may come to be appreciated as a statement of methodology whereby the willpower controls the vital life energy. Cases, Book of Tokens. See, second time it's been dropped. I know I'm gonna get it. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and pull the trigger. I go get it. So they just blatantly dropping case in my face. Benny, case in my face. Case. Oh, word. Are they really buzzing on me, huh? Okay, I gotta figure it out. $36. Essentially, I saved 14. Not really, but I did. I just didn't spend the whole 50 that I would have spent if it hadn't been available nowhere else. Okay. The woman who is tamed, the energy of the lion, and the woman who dances in space surrounded by the four cherubim are both expressions of that which is at the highest level called the Empress. This is a very powerful path, one on which it is not possible for a sensitive person to meditate without profound effects on the psyche. The card may come to be appreciated as a statement of methodology, whereby the willpower controls the vital life energy. Case's Book of Tokens suggests that the secret of this methodology lies in number, although as used in that text, the word means the germ of separation into what can be counted as divided from the one. Read that again. Case's Book of Tokens suggests that the secret of this methodology lies in number. Although as used in that text, the word means the germ of separation into what can be counted as divided from the one. Number veileth the power of the Elohim, for number is that thick darkness whereof it is written. Now, what we're going to do real quick is let's go here and see what Paul Foster Case has to say about the number 8. Because they just dropping lugs and like I don't just got this man book. Not they, Robert Wayne. On the diagram, this is a figure composed of the upper and lower circles. Okay, that's the left circle. Rhythm, alternate cycles of involution, evolution, vibration, flux and reflux, and the like. It represents also the fact that opposite forms of expression, that is, all pairs of opposites, are effects of a single cause, even though they might be diverse. I just remember I was supposed to text my sis once I got back. Whenever I go to my phone, I see all the text messages I miss. Okay. I ain't text nobody. Okay. Number 8. This number 8 is the digit value of the name IHVH, 4 elements. Masculine, feminine, perfect balance. 888 is the numeration of the name Jesus in Greek, and 8 is not only the Dominical number or number of the Lord in Christian numeral symbolism, but is also the particular number of the god called Thoth by Egyptians. We've seen the Tahuti tie-in from Hekuba and Hecate and all of that, so that's actually quite amazing. Its Hebrew name is Splendor, and Splendor is hard. So that's the Anubis link up right there. And Mercury by the Romans. Okay. and the aspect of consciousness to which it corresponds is called perfect intelligence. The Hebrew adjective translated perfect is shlm. A noun spelled with the same letters means peace, shalom, security, health, wealth, satisfaction, and thus refers to the perfect realization of the success represented by the number 7. Okay, can we rock with it? Okay, let's see where's I at. This is a very powerful path, one which it is not possible for a sensitive person to meditate without profound. I read that. It says, let's see, is Case's book of tokens suggests that the secret of this methodology lies in number. Although, as used in that text, the word means the germ of separation into what can be counted as divided from the one. Number veileth the power of the Elohim, for number is that thick darkness whereof it is written, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was, and again, Tetragrammaton said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. And it continues, of that darkness, the serpent is a sign, the great serpent, the royal snake of Egypt. This is the serpent of temptation, yet from it cometh the redemption, for the serpent is the first appearance of the anointed one. It also applies to when Moses first went to confront when Moses first went to confront the Pharaoh. Remember, they had a battle with snakes, right? Threw your staff down, making snakes. I throw my staff down, make a snake, and swallow your snakes, etc., etc., etc. All right, let's do it to it. Where was I? Strength represents a very important initiatory formula dealing with the serpent power. It is this power which is used to stimulate the various chakras or centers of energy in the body. The principles embedded in number as defined above teach us how to use this power. Yeah, because I'm just tripping. My mind is flashing back to the difference between fire and light. And fire is considered fire is above air, in that fire is actually lighter than air, right? Let me get back. I got sidetracked. Strength represents a very important initiatory formula dealing with the serpent power. It is this power which is used to stimulate the various chakras or centers of energy in the body. The principles embedded in number, as defined above, teach us how to use this power, which is not to suggest that the process is cold and distant. On the contrary, Crowley's title, Lust, is quite appropriate. What is involved is the development of a divine frenzy, as is meant by the frequently repeated instruction, inflame thyself with prayer, or as the alchemists express it, the heat of the furnace makes the stone. The heat is a great passion within the confines of exercise, such as that as of the middle pillar. I'll say this also about the passions associated with the lion and Leo and the sun. I can't think of a single Leo that I know that isn't very passionate leaders in their own right. Even if they're leaders of a parade and nobody's following, they still marching to that beat, not looking left or right behind them. Leos remind me of Anakin Skywalker in the sense that uh, even though they're aligned with the light side of the force, Anakin could draw on his emotions to fuel his usage and strengthen the Force. The method is a recurring theme in correspondence courses of Paul Case. In one lesson, he says of inner exercises, by prolonged practice, pursued sometimes for months and years without apparent result, those who follow the way of liberation, remember liberation, Libra, scales of justice, 11 card, 8 card, 11 key and 8 key are interchangeable. Way of liberation, let's go back. Those who follow the way of liberation affect changes in their subconsciousness. These changes are symbolized by key 8 and produce at the same time the results shown in key 16. Repeatedly, he states that the whole point of meditational exercise is an actual and subtle change in the structure of the body cells. And those who are familiar with Dion Fortune's definition of the Kabbalah as the yoga of the West will appreciate that Case directly said things at which she only hinted. So yeah, I'm highlighting that. Paul Case, because he's like one of my favorite authors. And see, so Paul Foster, he wasn't indebted to any societies other than the one he created. Although I could tell he was very familiar with Masonry, but maybe he didn't consider his Masonic obligation to prevent him from discussing Kabbalah on many deeper levels. When we have the important keys, all mystical literature suddenly opens up and seems genuinely simple. Such may be the case with the book of Revelation, the Apocalypse, which generally confounds most biblical scholars and is the source of some extraordinary scholarly nonsense. Revelation, like the book of Genesis, has been speculated to be one of the great Kabbalistic documents, and one may not be surprised to find that Tarot interpreters often relate the card of strength or Crowley's lust to that work by St. John. What page we got? Oh, this is it. In Revelation, it is stated that the lion, represented by the tribe of Judah, the descendant of David, had won the right to open the scroll and break its 7 seals. 7 seals, the book is your body, 7 seals is your chakra system. But as the seals are to be broken, we discover that the lamb has taken the place of the lion. The lion has, in fact, become the lamb of 7 eyes. These are the 7 chakras which are activated by the lion serpent power. Namaha. Oh, Ganapataye Namaha. I'm sorry, I'm reading this ahead of y'all. The symbolism first method of which one may know that first method. I'm definitely going to highlight this whole passage. So I'm going to read it. It says here, in Revelation, it is stated that the lion, representative of the tribe of Judah, descendant of David, had won the right to open the scroll and break its 7 seals. But as the seals are to be broken, we discover that the lamb has taken place of the lion. The lion has in fact become the lamb of 7 eyes. These are the 7 chakras activated by the lion's serpent power. This is this is the taming of the lion by the woman in strength. Kabbalistic terms, in Kabbalistic terms, this means that to bring the energy symbolized by the lion under perfect control is to seal the book of reality above the abyss. The symbolism refers to the method by which one may know that from that which manifestation emerges, the supernal triangle of the tree of life. It should be noted that here that the path of Teth is the highest on the tree with no direct connection into the supernals. Mm. It is thus an important path of transition. It is, like the hermit, a gateway to the experiences of dogs. Dogs. In the Golden Dawn version of both cars, the oath is suggested by the desert. As we cross the desert going upwards, we are led out of bondage by the Logos itself, Moses as the light. Even Crowley's card may be interpreted in this way. Though he has placed his card on the 11th path, traditionally given to justice. His symbolism is perfectly consistent with the meaning of the Golden Dawn or Wake cards relative to Daath, of which he commented in the Equinox. In Daath is said to be the head of the great serpent Nekesh, or Leviathan, called evil to conceal its holiness. This reasoning is interesting in terms of his lust card, where he represented the seven-headed beast of the apocalypse with which he personally identified. One may suggest that Crowley related himself, i.e., an evil which is only apparent. No, I skipped something. Sorry about that. One may suggest that Crowley related himself to the beast under the same philosophical twist as he described the serpent, i.e., an evil which is only apparent and actually concealing the greatest good. One can argue theologically that God creates only good and that what appears to be the greatest evil may actually be concealed good. I hope that don't need an explanation to nobody. Uh, all these things you got to use the Kabbalion as your guide, your rule of thumb when it comes to things that are considered quote unquote evil. Because truthfully, everything holy down here, everything holy up there, makes this equally holy. Good and evil are perspectives. Yes, some truly atrocious things do go down on planet Earth, but that does not negate the nature of good versus evil, or good on one hand, evil on the other. Even these politicians, the Queen just died. She's evil. Obama is good. Throw it out the window. Okay. You know what? This will be another one. I refuse to just be highlighting everything because then it all blends together. I can't pluck nothing out. I'm just gonna leave a note for myself. Boo. At any event, some may find it very uncomfortable, even pathological, that Crowley has so woven the trappings of his own personality into the cards. Although it requires some study to understand the extent to which this is the case. Others may find his choice of imagery curious, wondering that he should illustrate a card of such spiritual potency as the Strenght with the Scarlet Woman of the Apocalypse riding the beast. Crowley made the connection through gematria on the number 666, to which he related his own name, the sun, his so-called stele of revealing, and the beast of revelation. Although the image is somewhat enigmatic in its context, Crowley has used the Whore of Babylon to represent the epitome of virginity, that which is symbolized in the Golden Dawn card by 4 flowers. That's setting off fireworks. Chesed, let's see. Although the image is somewhat enigmatic in its context, Crowley has used the whore of Babylon to represent the epitome of virginity, that which is symbolized in the Golden Dawn card by the 4 flowers, chesed, and by the wreath and weights card. The principle is again that of the greatest evil considering the greatest good. The woman is the same innocence as the hermit. She is Virgo intacto, and it is only as such that she can, with complete safety, deal with the lion. She might also be considered one of the Vestal virgins keeping the sacred fire. Well, I think that was well worth it. I think that was very much well worth it. Check out the 19th path with Dolores now wiki. Dolores Ashcroft now wiki. Get rid of Chesed. That's the one we want. Page 125. So the 19th path is one of fire, suitable for burning out the last of the dross. In this, the dross is like whatever gunk is, clinging to the pipes. You get rid of everything. After this, the engine gonna be clean as a kitchen plate. Eat off of it. If we're referring to a vehicle, a car engine, that's what I mean. In this respect, it has much to do with the 23rd and 22nd paths. There are also touches of the 26th because on this path, the last illusion is stripped away. It is almost a mask where the outer faces were present to the world and slowly removed, leaving us feeling very vulnerable. At least until we realize that being our true selves gives us enormous strength. This explains the use of the tarot card of this name as the doorway for the 19th path. The Hebrew letter Teth, the serpent, reminds us strongly of the fiery seraphim and their role as teachers. The Nagas are Indian legends, and the divine Pymander, teachers of Hermes Trismegistus. On this path, the serpent knowledge is a knowledge of self, from its heights to its depths, so we can open our eyes fully to what and who we are. It is a chance to face and conquer the dark twin that we carry within. Hence, the higher self is depicted on the tarot card as controlling the lower by holding its jaws. Without its powerful teeth, the lion is helpless. She, as the title of the card tells, is the leader of the lion. The zodiacal sign is Leo, and this means that the thing most likely to trip us up on this path is our own self-pride. If we can get that out of the way, i.e. control it, the natural dignity and leadership of the lion symbol will shine through. A lot of personal myth will be exploded on this path. It is also the second of the lateral paths on the tree. Second, only the other lateral is between net sack and hog. No. Book my bina, Tiferet hog. Across the door, page. The zodiacal sign is Leo, and this means that the thing most likely to trip us up on this path is our own self-pride. If we can get that out the way, i.e. control it, the natural dignity and leadership of the lion symbol will shine through. I was just saying that about the lion, how I was just reflecting how it literally applies to just about every Leo I can think of. If we can get that out of the way, i.e. control it, the natural dignity and leadership of the lion symbol will shine through. A lot of personal myth will be exploded on this path. It is also second of the lateral paths on the tree. And on the line of the lightning flash. So we may expect the same kind of impact here. There is no question of being given a choice as we had on the last path. Here we are up against it and have to call on all the courage, vision, discrimination, and will that we have gathered on our journeys on the tree. It may or may not be enough acceptance of destiny we learned about on the last path, but learning about it and putting it into operation are two different things. And on the 19th path, we are being told, not asked. A student treading this path at a higher level than the one given here can expect a very rough ride, the effects of which might last a considerable time. In the very highest levels, it is the path of the exempt adept and would probably signify the end of the need to operate in the physical body. Damn. It says a student treading this path at a higher level than the one given here can expect a very rough ride, the effects of which might last a considerable time. In the very high levels, it is the path of the exempt adept and would probably signify the end of the need to operate in the physical body. It is the path of Gethsemane, the cup of sorrow that has to be drunk. At one time in my own life, I was faced with a situation that meant either an opting out or an acceptance of the cup and its bitter contents. The depth of despair is something I hope never to have to face again. It was my own Gethsemane. And Gethsemane, I believe, is where Jesus, Gethsemane is something to do with Jesus. I'm not sure if that's where he got captured, where he's praying at. Yeah, Mount of Olives, where Jesus got sold out, uncuffed. At one time in my life, I was faced with a situation that meant either an opting out or an acceptance of the cup and its bitter contents. The depths of despair is something I hope never to have to face again. It was my own Gethsemane. I went to the temple and literally begged on my knees for something that happened that would help me. It seemed to me that I had been deserted completely. From some depths I never knew I possessed, I realized what had to be done and found it worse than what had already happened. I have never known such fear, but again, that inner depth welled up. I took the challenge from the altar and offered to accept whatever was to come. During the following hours, a gradual numb acceptance came over me, but within 24 hours, things began to happen that had seemed impossible the day before. Within a month, it had been resolved, and although the mental scar tissue remained, the episode gradually became a foundational stone of strength that I have been able to draw on since. That's fire. Because the evils we endure never really come to pass. It's really worse than what we think. And even if you get embarrassed or whatever happens, it's not gonna last forever. Humans have very short time spans. Matter of fact, currently the human being has a shorter time or shorter attention span than fucking goldfish. This is not to say that everyone will adjust their karma in such a traumatic way, but it will have some effect without doubt. The path workings in this book were never meant to be pretty fairy stories, but trials of strength to enable a serious student to temper the sword of the spirit. The tree of knowledge carries many different fruit. We must eat of them all in time. So, having said that, I can clearly say that I'm blown away because I find myself at a crossroads of sort, and most likely I'm going to have to pay my toll to get across. But I'm not facing it with fear. Whatever it is what it is. But this is just impactful. I mentioned in the first part about a dream I had. All of this kind of coincides with something I got going on, and yeah, definitely gave me that inner force, that inner strength to press on fearlessly. So, having said that, I want to thank you for getting down with the get down with me. Um, Please feel free to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, get your copy of The Occult Me and the Masonry and Symbols and the Chakra System. You can get your copy by going to www.pillarbookpublishing.com. Purchase your copy. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, and I will definitely facilitate the process. If you don't want to go use an internet, hit me up and Michael K. Bell at yahoo.com. We can work something out. Zelle, Cash App, Venmo. We work something out. So, having said that again, thank you for your time. Occult Topics with the Professor. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, and I'm out. Peace. Time for me to I won't say lay my game down. Got a few more things to do, but this is a rapper thought thing. Peace.